Are we doing this stupid fucking thing where you're out of sight asking questions from a distance?
Yeah.
Jesus wept.
But it's better.
It's not better, it's just the way we do it now. It's not better.
No, it's better.
Don't tell me it's better, you know it isn't better.
No, it's better because...
I had a few words with Penelope Spheris about that. I said, what, you can't sit next to me? What is it, B.O.? What? They think I'm just sitting here, you know, talking. Yeah?
Did you have a lot more time, I guess, to work on this record and do things that you hadn't been able to do in the past?
That's the reason it's better. Because always before we were working against the clock. And I remember on the end of Orgasmatron we were still mixing the final track and they were moving the next band's equipment into the studio. And, you know, the producer was hanging around the studio going, you know, do you want to set up the desk and stuff? I mean, we were always working against the deadline. And they say, oh, I'm sorry, can't do no more, you know. So stuff's gone out with vocals on it that were really bad, you know, because the throat had gone. Didn't have time to wait 2 days for it to get better, you know. So, and also guitar solos would be put on there. You say, it'll have to do, we've got to move on to the next track, you know. And this time we could do anything, you know, thank God for CBS, you know. They said, do the best album you can do, I don't care how long it takes. That was his words, Jerry Greenberg, what a stalwart man. I mean, he could have been opening any kind of amount of cans of worms there, couldn't he? For all he knew, we were going to go lunatic, Pink Floyd, you know, and take 2 years doing it. We just said, take your time, do whatever you want. And we delivered it pretty well under budget, almost. And also the fact that we were here helped because we were in a strange town. It was like we were on tour. They couldn't go home to the wife down the street, you know. They couldn't get a cab home and then go into another environment. They were staying here, they were in the band, they were in like apartments, you know. And we were all, the only people we knew the best were the band in this foreign town, you see, so it was good. It was like being on tour, so there's more of a band identity. We didn't calculate any of this album. I mean, it's not calculated. People are going to say that, and I'm just waiting for it. I mean, I know it's coming. But we didn't calculate any one track. We didn't say, let's sit down and write a slow song, or let's sit down. I mean, I wrote all these tracks before we came over here, except for one that isn't on the album, it's on the B-side of the single. But I wrote all of these things, and there's one about Los Angeles. And I know a lot of people are going to say, there are, you see. He's gone to Los Angeles, now he's writing about it while he's there. But I didn't, I wrote it in England, almost a year and a half back, before I even knew we were coming here.
So you're saying you're anticipating some sort of backlash against this record, maybe?
There's bound to be, man, because there are certain tracks on it that are radically different. Hey, radical, hey. Radically different from the stuff we've done before. But there again, you've got to look at it in this position. I mean, the stuff we were doing wasn't selling anyway, so, you know, the albums have been getting less and less sales and they're getting worse and worse production, so why not? Go for broke. I don't mind about not being huge. I would just like to be satisfied with everything I've done. I mean, I'm living all right, you know, I make enough money to, you know, have a few hundred in my pocket and stuff. That's it. But I don't own any houses and I don't have a flash car and all that stuff, and it really doesn't bother me. You can only live in one room at a time, you know. And that side of it never bothered me. I never wanted to be a millionaire particularly. I mean, I wouldn't turn it down, you understand? But it was never the thing behind it. What I wanted to do was play the music I wanted to play. But I was influenced by a lot of different people than the music you've heard on our records, because that's only one influence, or about 5 influences, whereas I've had hundreds. You know, I mean, I was influenced mostly by the Beatles, right? And by pop music then, which was more rock and roll than it is now. But I just wanted to play music, you know, and anything that I want to play is okay, and I'll do it.
You mentioned that you've outlasted Hitler's reign by 3 years.
Yes, good context. It's going to be 4 years in March. The main thing about keeping going is not stopping, you know. It's like the main thing about living is not dying, you know. So that's all I did, was just keep going. I didn't go through any necessary privation or, you know, hard times. I just never figured starting again with a new name and having to start again from the bottom in clubs was a better proposition than keeping the name going and staying in the theatres, you know. Oh, I don't see why I should tell you about them, man. I mean, they're all good. You know, I mean, why don't you go out and buy it? I would. If I hadn't made this record, I'd buy it, okay? Take my word for it. I don't know how I can say that shit. I'm so bad. it, baby, I don't care. I'll tell you what, the education system in this country is bloody awful. I mean, I've got a word here. It says mead instead of need. I mean, that's bloody basic, isn't it? And it says she needs my apitiau. A-P-P-I-T-I-A-U. There's no such word even in German, which is what it resembles mostly. You know, I like this guy, and he's real nice. And the greatest, what? The greatest up. He's only 15 years old, so what? I think that's too young, but I like him. And I try to just be friends, but it's like, if I don't go with him, it's nothing. What should I do? Is he too young, or what? I don't want to hurt him, or get awful looks. Awful looks? Well, he must mean a lot to you if you don't want to get awful looks, huh? Jesus Christ, must be the love story of the century. Why don't you screw him and find out? I mean, it's only 4 years difference, honey. If you were 24, you wouldn't mind if he was 20. These are not problems, these are details, you know. I happen to be a 16-and-a-half-year-old. What, it's an accident? Headbanger and guitar player for 6.5 years. Ah. I did groups like, wait a minute, 16-and-a-half. Start when you're 10-and-a-half? Yeah, all right. I did groups like Metallica, Slayer, Iron Maiden, Testament, Megadeth. No Motorhead, I see. Love, hate, just about any good kick-ass metal band. My problem is, since I'm black, other blacks put me down and say that I'm a disgrace to the colour. Tell them to shove it, boy. Jimi Hendrix did all right, remember? Pisses me off, because my dad feels the same way. Most of the time we just tell these people to die off, but I don't know how to handle my dad. My mum is real cool about it. Well, women usually have more sense than men, tell it. But what should I do about my dad? I'll write you a letter, man, because you might not be watching the TV because there's white people on it, you know. Being like that about another colour is the same as Hitler was about being Jewish and about other colours. You cannot be just one colour. If the bloody thing is ever going to work out properly, then we all have to intermarry and screw each other blind and get to be coffee-ish. But then we'd still find people that were lighter than those guys, right? You can't win with that one, but you can win by just doing it. Tell them to go to hell, right? They want to keep you safe and warm in the black community. And if the black community can't handle you, shove them. Go someplace else. Little Richard, when he had his first hits, he was ostracized completely, an outcast by the blacks. They all said, oh, it's sold out. He didn't sell out. He was playing the music he liked, and white people liked it. You know, should he be penalized for giving people joy? Screw him. Do what you want.